So I finally had the chance to get out and get some gameplay with the Gearbox Pro Ultimate against some 4.0 players. As a matter of fact, I think everybody on that court had a DUPR that's above 4.3. It's about 20 minutes worth of footage I've cut up for you guys. It's not only the good points, trust me, okay? In any instance or any point where I hit the ball at least twice, I've included it in all of these clips, okay? So you can see the good and you can be seeing the bad. Now, 3 things before I send you guys off to those clips. For starters, the court was a relatively makeshift court, okay? It's not great. A lot of those lines not perfect. There's cracks and there's debris on the court. Very often we had to redo some points. You can see some of those points being redone in the video themselves and some of the bounces being wonky. Second of all, the paddle itself, in my opinion, is still not broken in. Again, this is the first time I've actually had a chance to use this paddle against players of comparable level. So I haven't really been bashing it around to get it broken in yet. So I don't believe it's quite there yet. So when you judge the performance, keep that in mind too. And the third and final thing I want to mention, cut me some slack. About 4 months ago, I became a first-time dad. I've only had a chance to play against some decent competition for the whole court. I mean, I would say maybe less than a dozen times in the past 5 months even. So when I look at myself play, I know that I'm way slower than the player that I was earlier this spring. When I look at my clips from today versus back then, I move slower, I hit slower, I make more mistakes. So 3 things to keep in mind. And the very last thing, after all these clips are over, I'm gonna give you my overall thoughts on the Gearbox Pro Ultimate. You can either watch all the clips and you'll see my opinion at the very end, or you could use the timestamps below to get right to it at any point in time. So, I'll see you guys soon.
This Gearbox, bro, this Gearbox ain't acting right. Yeah, I'll make me kids making shots. Yo, serious though. How about getting the side jump? Great slice, though. Nah, but... I felt that pressure on that one. No. Fucking wrong. Here's on two. Bro, you ran so far back. I was like, slam it at me. 1 or 2. All right. Nervous you. Nervous as a my game player. That's good. That's the shot that pays you bills. Pays my bills. We got cheap rent there. Watch it, watch it, watch it. Go for something. That would have been it. That's all worker just told.
I'm watching for him.
But you know it's on camera, though. Kobe, it's on camera.
I'm watching for him.
$10 for $10 in that goal.
$10?
$10. Not my $10. I'm ready to That's 4-2. Go with 10. Nice. There we go. Let's go. Big one, big one.
Alrighty, so let's get to my review part of the Gearbox Pro Ultimate. I'm just going to repeat this once again. The paddle is very likely not broken into, but if you were to give me one word to describe this paddle right now as it stands, that word would be underwhelming. Unfortunately, that's just the case. Here's the thing. The Gearbox Pro Power, right? I've played with this paddle from January up to, let's say, a few weeks ago, the times that I have played. This has the wow factor, okay? When you went from other paddles to this paddle, it felt different, okay? And this paddle, it wasn't perfect, right? I always had people asking me like, oh, like, what do you think of this paddle? Like, and I would always tell them it's a lot of fun, but I'm not sure if it made me a better player, right? Because as much as it would give you crazy counters and crazy power, it would take away from a lot of other areas of your game, right? But it was so much fun to play with. And it had that wow factor because no other paddle kind of gave you what this would give you. But the Pro Ultimate, I'm just not getting that. And for a couple of reasons here. It's just heavy. It's just heavy. It's sluggish. It's like a sledgehammer being in my hands when I compare it to the Pro Power. That's just how it is. Before the Pro Power, I used a Vatic Pro V7. I also had lead on it. Going from that to that Gearbox Pro Power, it felt like that was a jet to me, okay? It moved quickly. It hit like a truck, okay? This one right now to me does not move quickly whatsoever. It moves slow and it does not hit as hard whatsoever. Now, because it moves slower, and because it doesn't have, obviously there's gotta be some structural differences with it, but it was much easier to create power with the Pro Power. There's no question about it. it requires a lot more momentum to get that done with the Pro Ultimate. And the issue with that is because it's slower, you have less time to create that momentum. You have less time to have a larger swing. There's instances, as you guys might have noticed. So we'll look at them right this instance, right? So one of my go-to moves, as you see in this point, when I'm coming in, the reason why I missed that shot at the very end was because my hands were a little bit too slow to close in on that ball. I end up hitting that ball late. That is why. With the Pro Power, 100% of the time, that ball would have been put away, no question about it. But because my hands were a tiny bit slower, or I think more importantly, my hands were used to the speed by which they moved of the Pro Power, I end up tagging that ball late. And I end up shipping that ball out. Had the Pro Power been in my hands, that ball would have been drilled at my opponent's feet. In this other point that you're watching here, same thing. With the Pro Power, I would have put that ball away. The very instance I was in that transition zone and I had this punch volley coming in. I wasn't able to. I didn't have that level of power that I had of the Pro Power to do that, right? I came in, I tried hitting the ball, had a few counters, I got overwhelmed, I lost the point. I just was not able to develop strong enough power in that shot, even though I had a pretty big swing, right, when I was coming in. To be honest, I felt like the Vatic Pro would have given me more power in that specific instance. On the flip side, as you'll see in this point right here, you know, if I'm given the time and I'm positioned properly, yes, you're able to get that power, right? I'm able to put the ball away quite well there without a question about it, right? Even with this stroke over here, as you guys might have seen in the intro of the backhand, right? I was able to wind it up and I was able to also put it away. So when I look at things like this, it's a question of, okay, is it just because I'm inconsistent with the way I'm hitting the ball? Is that what it is? Am I just putting the blame on the paddle? Maybe the blame is on me, because in some instances when I do have that time, I am able to deliver that power. But let's talk about the resets, because I think that's where you guys saw me getting crushed quite often, right? Specifically resets off the bounce. I just continuously sent those balls up, right? Every time it was bouncing in front of me, and I try to reset it softly, right? Just over the net, it was not happening. It was really piling up high, and I was getting crushed on over and over again. That resembled pretty close to what I would be getting with the Pro Power, to be honest with you. I was not seeing an improvement there whatsoever when it came to those resets. It just felt so poppy, right? I'm just putting my paddle there. I'm trying to absorb some of that power when I'm resetting, but I just simply was not able to do so. On the flip side, actual drops felt pretty solid. I wouldn't say I had an issue with them. I would say that the drops did feel better with the Ultimate as opposed to the Pro Power, so I will give that to the Ultimate, that the drops strictly, yes, felt better with this paddle. The resets off the balance did not feel any much better. Two other places where I felt the paddle was fine in the drives, right? So whenever I did drive in the game, whether it would be a backhand or a forehand, that felt perfectly fine. It didn't feel slow. It didn't necessarily maybe feel slower than the Pro Power. I mean, I also wasn't going 100% on all of those drives. They do actually feel better. I'll give them that. The Ultimate does make it feel better. They do promise a better dwell, and they could be right on that, right? So I tried adding spin, especially on that forehand wing, and yes, it did feel like I was biting onto that ball a little bit better than the Pro Power, to the point that I did feel more comfortable letting loose of on the forehand wing with the Ultimate. So I'll give them that. When it came to speed ups off the kitchen line, those also felt good. Those actually felt like I was shooting them at about the same rate as I would of the Pro Power. Had no complaints with that. I did win a bunch of points of speeding them up. Granted, you also watched me lose a few points. You know, my overall thoughts kind of walking away after those games, you know, from this paddle, I felt that if I had the Pro Power with me, I would have performed much, much better. There have been some instances that I would have been weaker in, like I would have not trusted my forehand drive as much. So I might have had to pull back a little bit on that. Maybe some of my regular drops would have been a little bit weaker. But I know that had any play at the net, there's like so many shots that I felt that with the Pro Power, I would have just drilled them at my opponents without a question. But of the Ultimate, the points kind of went on. The points kind of went on. And again, I want to caveat all of this with the fact that it may not be broken into, right? Because right now, this feels like a sluggish paddle without that much additional power on it, okay? This does feel to a point that I'm almost playing with a Vatic Pro, right? And the Vatic Pro kind of is like a little bit of a control paddle, you know. Obviously, I do typically, I was having better resets and drops with the Vatic Pro. Now, yes, on the counters, yes, this one still feels a bit better, but it's nothing like, it's not at a crazy level. That's what I want to get at. The Pro Power, without a doubt, it's a crazy level. Like if you've yet to have a play of that paddle, play of it, it'll blow your mind. This one has not blown my mind when it comes to any bit of its power or its counters. It's just slowed down my hands. And that's really all I've seen from it. Now, I'm going to continue giving this paddle a try, okay? I'm not going to give up on it. I want to see it get broken into. I truly do. I want to see maybe there is a lot of power behind this once it gets broken into, right? I told you guys, I have not really pushed this paddle enough to truly get it broken into. I hope to be able to do so. I hope they will have another review, let's say in a few weeks, right? I want to put in a few more sessions into it with some good competition, obviously, and see if things will change with it. I know that if the Pro Power, you know, normally if you press on the face, you start hearing that foam crackling a little bit. I'm not really getting much of that with the Pro Ultimate yet. I'm not sure if it will act specifically just like that. I just know my previous Pro Power, I had a couple of them. The more they got broken into, the more they would start cracking for me, you know. That also meant there was more and more power. The last thing I do want to mention, this paddle, the sound is more damp than the Pro Power. Some of you might like that. I actually do not. It's getting to the point where it's almost like driving an EV. An EV is great for many different things, an EV car. Well, EV, I guess electric vehicle already has car into it. But the one thing you miss from driving an EV is the sound of your engine, right? When you're hitting the gas pedal, when the gears are shifting and so forth. That's what you usually miss out of an EV. And you get into to that point now with this paddle too, where it's like, I could be ripping a shot and it sounds like I'm doing nothing, you know? Like nothing's coming off my paddle, even on video, right? So it's like, obviously we rely a lot on sound, even for ourselves when we review our own clips. So I'm looking at my clips sometimes, I can't even tell if I'm hitting a great shot or not, if a hard shot or not, because there's so little sound coming off my paddle compared to my teammates, you know? I felt like the Pro Power kind of had a good middle ground for that, for like less sound, but you could still kind of hear something coming out of it. This one is just so damp. But that's my opinion on it. If you have, I guess if you have another opinion on it, let me know in the comments below. Any questions for me, let me know. The only change I've done to this paddle, by the way, since my whole setup video was because I have been taking the lead on the bottom on and off at various times. I'm not sure if I like it or not like that. That's the only weight difference I've done with the paddle. Just let you guys know if you're so curious about that. It's weighing at about 8.8 at the moment. But that's really what I have to say. Again, we're going to come back to this paddle in a few weeks with more play on it. Maybe I'll get more used to how it moves in my hands. I'll be able to unleash more of its power. We're going to have to see. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like. Subscribe for more content. If you heard my son throughout this video, I apologize. He's getting a little restless. But other than that, have a great day. And I'll see you guys out there.